Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to All Praise Picks. Today we're looking at the NBA. We have the NBA Cup semifinals in the Eastern Conference, where we have the Atlanta Hawks playing against the Milwaukee Bucks in Las Vegas on December 14th, 2024. Currently, the Hawks are 14-12, which is seventh place in the Eastern Conference, and the Bucks are 13-11, which is sixth place in the Eastern Conference. So, kind of middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference, but also, these teams are in the semifinals of the NBA Cup, so they have been playing pretty well lately. And this should be a pretty good game overall. I do wonder how the time difference for these two Eastern teams going to Vegas playing at a 4:30 p.m. Eastern game will be, but I do kind of lean towards one this being a close game, but also I do lean towards the Bucks winning the game overall. These two teams did play in Milwaukee on December 4th, so just about 10 days ago, and Atlanta actually won that game 119-104. But Chris Middleton was not playing in that game, and he's kind of a unsung hero for the Milwaukee Bucks in terms of allowing their offense and defense to flow better around Damian Lillard and Giannis. So I do think that the Bucks, especially if Middleton is back playing 20 to 25 minutes, should be able to win this game. But I do like both offenses in this game, which is why I created a lot of parlays for you guys. But first, I'm going to break down my previous bets that I had in the last week of the NBA, and then I'll break down all the parlays that I have for this game. As always, I'll break down the lines, give you my thoughts, and hopefully if you tap in, we can all win. So these are the two previous bets that I placed for my Chimney Challenge video. If you guys did not see that video, I'll be sure to check it out, and I'll be releasing another one later this evening. But I split my $10 total bet into two $5 bets, and I had Jaylen Brown to go over 31.5 points and assists versus the Pistons. He had a pretty good game overall. He just didn't really need to shoot the ball that much. A lot of their role players like Peyton Pritchard played pretty well. I think Peyton Pritchard had over 27 points, and they blew out the Detroit Pistons. So I kind of like the read on that play, but I just expected Jaylen Brown to be more aggressive offensively, and he did a lot more in terms of rebounding and assists. But I also had Malik Monk to have over 3 assists, and I think he had 9 against the Pelicans, so he had a really good game. But we were able to hit the parlay on the right side, the plus 133 parlay, so it's always good to hit the higher odds parlay. And in that one, I had Jaylen Brown to have over 3 assists versus the Pistons, which he did, and then Malik Monk to have under 21.5 total points and assists. And I think my total read on that game was pretty good. The Pelicans are pretty good at defending shooting guards when it comes to allowing points and three-pointers. And that's pretty much all that Malik Monk does outside of assisting. So I did like his assists in that game and didn't really like his points, so I just took the under, and we were able to make $1.69 off of our $10 bet. So profitable day overall, but we're looking for more, and I'll be sure to release my Chimney Challenge video later today with our next bet. But before I get into my bets for this NBA Cup game, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Appreciate you guys for watching, and I would really appreciate it if you guys share it with everybody that enjoys NBA or enjoys playing sports bets as well. So this is the first parlay that I have. It's essentially a Hawks parlay. I have Trae Young to have over 15 points, Jalen Johnson to have over 15 points, Clint Capella to have over 7 rebounds, and Jalen Johnson to have over 7 rebounds. And this parlay comes out to minus 110. So if you invest 1 unit on this parlay, you have about a 90% return on your investment. So starting off with Trae Young to have 15 points, I think that he has a pretty good offensive matchup in this one versus the Bucks defense. And even with Chris Middleton playing, I think that he should be able to get over 15 points. In his last game versus Milwaukee on the December 4th, he had 17 points, but he went 0 for 9 from three-point range. So I do expect him to make at least 1 or 2 threes in this game, which would put him over 20 points if he had the same stat line as he did on December 4th. And he's gone over 15 points in his last 4 games, and I just think with this being an NBA Cup game, he probably will take more shots and just have the ball in his hands more often, which will probably lead to more free throw opportunities and more three-point attempts. Also on the season, especially lately, he's been shooting the ball a lot more, and the same is true for Jalen Johnson. But in terms of Trae Young's field goal attempts per game, he's gone over 16 field goal attempts in 4 out of his last 5 games, and in the game that he didn't have more than 16 in this recent game log, he had 13 field goal attempts versus Denver, where he landed right on 15 points. And I just expect him to take more than 13 shots in this game, especially if he's going to be aggressive, and leading the Hawks to a potential win in this game probably requires Trae Young to have more than 15 points. I also took Jalen Johnson to have more than 15 points. So Jalen Johnson, he actually is probably like one of the most improved players in the NBA this season. He's been playing very well. He does have an injured ankle, so he is questionable for this game. But he did play against the New York Knicks on December 11th in their last NBA Cup game, and he played 41 minutes and had 21 points on 20 field goal attempts and 6 free throw attempts. So I do think that, especially since he played against the Knicks, he likely will be playing in this game. And I think that he has another good matchup here against Milwaukee. On December 4th, when they played Milwaukee, he had 23 points on 10 of 19 field goal attempts, and he also went 0 for 2 from 3. So I do assume that Trae Young or Jalen Johnson will probably make a three-pointer in this game, which will boost up their potential to get 15 points. And with them being the top two scorers on the Hawks, I think that the odds are pretty high of them both going over 15 points, especially if this is a competitive game going into the fourth quarter. Jalen Johnson has also only gone under 15 points in 1 out of his last 10 games. So he's gone over 9 out of the last 10 games. And in the game that he went under, it was against the Lakers where he had 12 points, but he only took 8 field goal attempts. So the same is true for Jalen Johnson. I just think that him and Trae Young will be taking a lot more field goal attempts in this game. And with it being a competitive game, he likely will go over 15 points as well. And then for the last two, I have Clint Capella and Jalen Johnson to have over 7 rebounds apiece. So Capella has had a pretty good history against the Milwaukee Bucks. I think he's gone over 8 rebounds in his last 4 games versus the Bucks, and in his last game versus Milwaukee, he had 17 rebounds, and he played 23 minutes. So even if he's playing, say, 25 minutes in this game, if he's able to get 17 rebounds in 23 minutes, I think he should be able to get 7 with the additional playing time that I think he'll have. And as long as he doesn't get into foul trouble, which he doesn't really do against the Milwaukee Bucks, he plays Brook Lopez and Giannis to some extent pretty well defensively, so I do think that he'll be on the floor long enough to get 7 rebounds. I also have Jalen Johnson to have over 7 rebounds, and he's just a great rebounder overall. He's gone over 7 rebounds in his last 4 games, and in those games he had 7 versus the Pelicans, 13 versus Milwaukee, 10 versus the Lakers, and 15 versus the Knicks. So I just think that he's a very active rebounder, and he is searching for the ball once it is shot by the opposing team. So I think he also has a good chance of getting over 7 rebounds in this game. And this is the next parlay that I have. It's a plus money parlay at plus 105. I mentioned Trae Young and Jalen Johnson to score 15 points. I like their offensive matchup when it comes to playing against the Bucks in this game, and think that they have a good chance of going over 20 for both of them. But I also added Jalen Johnson to have 5 assists. So he's gone over 5 assists in his last 7 games, and he's only gone under 5 assists. Out of his last 10 games, he's only gone under 5 assists in 2 of those games. But most recently, he has been assisting the ball pretty well, and I think it's just because he's had additional playing time. And with this game being pretty competitive, I think the ball will be in Trae Young's and Jalen Johnson's hands. I don't really like Trae Young's props. Really, to get a good price on Trae Young's assists, you have to bet him to have over 10 assists, and I think that the Bucks could do a pretty good job at limiting Trae Young's assists. Whereas with Jalen Johnson, if he's passing to open shooters, he's more likely to get assists, and I think that the number at 5 assists is just a better price overall. So at plus 105, if you invest 1 unit on this parlay, you'll have a 105% return on your investment. And as always, just have bankroll consciousness and an overall understanding of your finances when deciding to place these bets. So this is the next parlay that I have at plus 120. It's a simple 2-leg parlay. One is for Dame Time to have over 20 points. In his last game versus Atlanta, he had 25 points on 8 of 14 field goal attempts and 5 of 9 from 3-point range. So he was shooting very well from 3-point range, and I think that'll continue in this game. So I do like him to have over 20 points against the Hawks in Las Vegas, especially with this being an NBA Cup game. The stakes are high, and Dame Time usually rises to the occasion when it comes to high-stakes games. He's also gone over 20 points in 4 out of his last 5 games, and most recently versus Orlando in an NBA Cup game, he had 28 points on 10 of 10 free throw attempts too. So I think especially if he's getting to the free throw line and making 3-point shots, he should go over 20 points, and he has a good chance of going over 25 and maybe even 30 points if you like to take those props as well. I also have Clint Capella to have over 10 rebounds. As I mentioned, he's a pretty good rebounder, especially when it comes to the Bucks. He's gone over 8 rebounds in his last 4 games versus the Bucks, and in the last game that he played versus the Bucks, he had 17 rebounds. I think that with increased playing time, likely in this game being an NBA Cup game, he probably will go over 10 rebounds. So at plus 120, if you invest 1 unit on this parlay, you have a 120% return on your investment. And as always, have bankroll consciousness and an understanding of your finances when deciding to place these bets. So this is the next parlay that I have at plus 130. It's focused on Giannis and Gary Trent Jr. and their scoring. So Giannis has played pretty well against the Atlanta Hawks in his career, and in his last game versus the Hawks, he had 31 points, and he took, I think, 26 free throw attempts, and he only made like about half of them. But still, to take 26 free throw attempts, if he gets even close to that in this game, whether it's like 15 to 20 free throw attempts, I think he should be able to make at least 8 of them, and then he can get the additional 18 points that he would need through like layups and like mid-range jumpers. So I just think that Giannis is just a great player overall and will likely get over 25 points in this game, especially if it is competitive, because the Hawks have no answer for him defensively. I also like Gary Trent Jr. to make 2 3-pointers. So in his last game versus the Hawks, he took 9 3-pointers and made 3 of them. So I think that if they repeat that type of offensive mindset in this game, he should have over 2 3-pointers. He's also made over 2 3-pointers in his last 5 games, and he's attempted at least 4 3-pointers in each of those games. So I think with increased playing time too that he's had, even with Chris Middleton being back, he is still kind of like their sharpshooter on the team, and he only needs to make 2 3-pointers, which he's done in his last 5 games. I also think, though, with Gary Trent on the floor, the Bucks defense actually gets worse, and I think that if Giannis and Gary Trent are having good games, there's a likelihood that the Hawks will score over 105 points in this game. In their last game versus the Bucks, they scored 119, and that was in Milwaukee. Granted, Chris Middleton was not on the floor for the Bucks, but I think that it would be hard to keep the Hawks from scoring over 100 points, and I think with the increased defensive intensity in this game, there's a high likelihood that going into the end of like the second quarter and the fourth quarter, the Hawks may be in the bonus, which will generate free throw attempts that stop the clock and allow the Hawks to increase their point total while not taking time off of the clock. So I just like their odds of having over 105 points in this game. And I also took them to cover the game by like 14.5 points, essentially not to lose the game by more than 15 points. As I mentioned, they beat the Bucks in Milwaukee 119 to 104. And while the Bucks are playing better now, I think it's just very hard to kind of like flip the script entirely and then blow the team out that just blew you out at home. And while there may be motivation, this game is in Las Vegas, which is a completely new arena for both the Bucks and the Hawks, and I think it'll take some time to adjust to the rims and just the atmosphere overall, which will likely mean that the game will be close going into the fourth quarter. And at plus 130, if you invest 1 unit on this parlay, you have a 130% return on your investment. Per usual, just have bankroll consciousness and an understanding of your finances when deciding to place these bets. So this is the last parlay that I have. It's my long shot parlay. I think I'm going to start adding more of these to the end of my videos, just kind of giving like an overall assessment of what I think will happen in the game. And they're focused on Dame and Giannis. As I mentioned at the top of this video, I do think that the Bucks have an advantage in this game, especially with Chris Middleton being back. He's just a great spacer overall, and he helps find Dame and Giannis open, which allows their offense to come easier to them. So I took Damian Lillard to have 25 points and also 3 rebounds in this game. I think Dame has gone over 3 rebounds in 4 out of his last 5 games, and in the last game he just had 2 rebounds. But if you take that away, he's gone over 3 rebounds in his last 10 games. So I do think that with the increased likelihood of this being like a more defensive game, I think that Dame could easily get over 3 rebounds, and he had 4 versus the Hawks in their last game. I also have Giannis to have over 10 rebounds and 5 assists. So when he's playing against Clint Capella, he usually goes over 10 rebounds. He had 11 versus Atlanta, and he's gone over 10 rebounds in 3 out of his last 4 games. And I think that I just think that he'll be on the floor for more minutes in this game and just have an overall aggressive mindset when it comes to playing defense, which will probably lead him to having more opportunities for defensive and offensive rebounds throughout the game. I also like him to have over 5 assists in this game. So versus Atlanta on the December 4th, he had 5 assists. And I think with the addition of Chris Middleton into lineup, and also with Giannis having over 26 free throw attempts in their previous game, I just think that on Atlanta's side, they probably will start double teaming Giannis and forcing the ball out of his hands, which will give him more assist opportunities throughout the game. And with Chris Middleton being back in, I think that his likelihood of generating assists from those opportunities is higher. I also took Dame to have over 3 3-pointers made. He had 5 of 9 3-pointers in the last game versus the Hawks, and I think just overall, point guards versus the Hawks it's a good matchup when it comes to 3-point shooting. And I think if Dame is to score 25 points, he likely will make 3 to 4, or at least 3 to 4 threes in this game. I also took the Hawks to go under 123 points in this game. I think like the Bucks have been playing much better defensively, especially lately, which is why they're in the semifinal game of the NBA Cup. And I think there was just an overall adjustment period to playing in a totally new arena at a totally different time zone, in front of whole new fans too. For the high stakes that the NBA Cup game is, I just think that this may be not a very low scoring game, but a lower scoring game than their previous game in which the Hawks had 119 points. So having essentially a 4-point cushion on their previous score is pretty good to me. And I also think the Bucks could win this game. I just think that they're a better team overall. You guys have to keep in mind that the Hawks had the number 1 pick in the NBA draft last season, so this is a pretty far jump from where they were when they ended the season. And while Jalen Johnson is playing better, I just think that overall the Bucks are a team that is kind of underrated right now and are still coming into form. And once they come into their full form, I think that the rest of the NBA should probably watch out for them because they are a pretty good team. But at plus 500, if you invest 1 unit on this parlay, you have a 500% return on your investment. As always, just have bankroll consciousness and an understanding of your finances when deciding to place these bets. This is a long shot bet, so I would suggest having a lower bankroll size, but it's the weekend, so I just put 1 unit on it. So those are all the parlays that I have. Appreciate you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, share this video, as well as subscribe to my channel, and just stay tuned for more videos coming out later today. We have one more NBA Cup game with the Rockets and the Thunder later tonight, and I'll also be releasing a Chimney Challenge video either tonight or tomorrow, depending on how I feel with the NBA Cup research that I'm going to be doing. But until next time, peace.